guys, it's Hannah, and today I am doing the intimidating TBR Pile Tag. So this tag was created by Lindsay over on Lindsay Ray, and I will leave her original video as well as her channel linked down below, and you should definitely go check her out because she's wonderful. Essentially, this tag just gets you talking about some of the most intimidating books on your TBR. I wasn't tagged by anyone to do this video, but I just wanted to do it anyway because I really like the questions and I have a lot of books on my TBR that are intimidating that I want to talk about. So we have 9 questions to get through, and without any further ado, let's get started. So question number 1 is a book that you haven't been able to finish. And for me, this is The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have been reading this book since, I think, October 2015. I don't even know how many months that is. I don't even want to think about that right now. It might even be more than that. I don't know. It's just been a very, very long time. I also only have like 100 pages of this book left, so not even that much more until I finish it. It's not even that I'm not enjoying the story. I think it's just because that I've seen the Lord of the Rings movies so many times that I know what's going to happen, even though this is different than the movies. I don't know, I just don't feel like picking it up. Question number 2 is a book that you just haven't had the time to read. This could really be a number of books for me, but I'm gonna go with The Diviners by Libba Bray. I've been wanting to read this series for a very long time now, and this is a pretty big book for the first book in a series. It's like 570 pages, and I haven't had the time to invest into that right now. So it's been on the back burner, but I really, really want to read this, and I know that I'm gonna probably get really invested into this. So I need the time to do that, which I do not currently have. Question number 3 is a sequel that is on your TBR, and for this one, I actually don't have an unread sequel. I'm actually pretty good about finishing series, so I don't have a sequel for you guys. So I decided to change this question up a bit, and I'm gonna go with a whole series that is on my TBR. So an intimidating series on my TBR that I chose for this question is The Mistborn Trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. Just like with The Diviners in the last question, I haven't had the time to pick this up. It's a long book. All of the books are pretty long. I think all of them are like 600 plus pages. It's a high fantasy adult series that takes place in this world where people consume metals and that's how they get their magical abilities. And I just think that that's so cool, and I know that I'm probably really gonna enjoy these, so I want to dedicate enough time to them. So I give them my full attention. So I'm waiting until that time comes, and then I will pick these up. Question number 4 is a book on your TBR that is brand new. That book is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This book came out back in October, I believe, so it's been quite a few months, but it is honestly the newest book that was on my TBR, so we're just gonna roll with it. I've heard that this has some Harry Potter-ish elements to it. It's a fantasy book about these 2 boys, and I think they go to some sort of wizarding school, so you get the Harry Potter-ish vibes there. But I've heard from several people that it's really, really great, so I've been wanting to pick it up since October. It's been a while, and I haven't touched it, and it is the newest book that is on my TBR. The next question is to pick a book you haven't read yet because you've read a book by this author before and didn't enjoy it. Now, before you kill me on this, I didn't dislike the book that I read by this author, nor do I dislike this author. I just haven't had any motivation to pick anything else up by them. But the book is, and the author is, Paper Towns by John Green. Now, I've read The Fault in Our Stars, and I did very much enjoy it, and I do like John Green's writing, but I just don't really have the motivation to pick Paper Towns up, or Looking for Alaska, or really any of his other books. Even though I liked The Fault in Our Stars, I didn't love it to the point where I was so wowed that I just had to pick up everything else that he's ever written. I still want to get to this one day. I still want to get to Looking for Alaska and Will Grayson, and some of his other books as well, but they're just not at the top of my priority list currently. The next question is to pick a book that you haven't read yet because you're just not in the mood for it, and for me, this is You by Caroline Kepnes. The premise of this book sounds so interesting. It is about this man who, I think he's like following around this woman, or he's interested in her in some kind of way, but the book is written in second person, so he refers to her as you all the time. So when you're reading it, it's like he's actually referring to you, hence the name. So that just sounds absolutely fascinating to me. But right now, I have been in such a fantasy kick that I'm not really in the mood to pick up like a suspense novel or a psychological thriller. I just kind of want to stay in my own little fantasy world right now, if you know what I mean, and this might be a little bit too heavy for me. I still definitely want to get to it, obviously, but right now, it's just not at the top of the list. So the next question is a book you haven't read yet because it's humongous. This book is just like kind of ridiculously huge and definitely intimidates me, and that is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. This book is 661 pages, and there are books on my list that are of equal length, a little bit shorter, some a little bit longer, but for some reason, this one just like looks bigger than everything, and I think the font is smaller, so it's just super, super long. I'm not usually that intimidated by super long books. I actually like long books, but this one's just kind of absurdly large. And also the sequel, I think, is even longer than this one, so that's like a real time commitment that I'm not about right now. This is a high fantasy series that has warlocks and magic and all the kind of things that I love. I know that I'm really gonna enjoy it, and I know, just like Mistborn and the Diviners, that I'm gonna get really invested, so I need that time, and that's what I'm waiting for. So hopefully this summer I will plow through this thing, because it's a big one. The next question is a book you haven't read yet because it was a cover buy that ended up having some bad reviews. For me, this one is The Fortune Hunter by Daisy Goodwin. This is a historical fiction novel about an Austrian empress who falls in love with this captain. I think he's like a captain of the guard or something, and the two of them can't be together for one reason or another, and I think it's actually based off of a true historical figure, so I think this was an actual Austrian princess that the story is based off of. But a lot of the reviews are 3 2-star ratings, and people haven't said fantastic things about it, so I've kind of put it off since then. I still really want to read it because I love historical fiction and I think the plot sounds interesting. Definitely a cover buy for me too because it's beautiful, but also the ratings aren't fantastic, so it may have to wait for a little bit. And finally, the last question is the most intimidating book on your TBR, and for me, this is hands down Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. This book has been on my TBR for I don't even know how long at this point, but seriously, this book is huge. It's like 800 pages, and the font is tiny, and I am not ready for this yet. I know several people who have absolutely loved this book and highly recommended it to me, but it's huge and it's dense, and I know that it's not really gonna be an easy read, so it's definitely the most intimidating book on my TBR. I have no idea when I'm ever gonna read it, but I know I really want to. So there you go, guys. That is it for my intimidating TBR pile tag. Let me know in the comments down below what is the #1 most intimidating book on your TBR, because I'm very curious to know. I feel like all of us are intimidated by books for different reasons. Like for me, it's not always the size. It's usually the content of the book and how dense it is and how much time I'm gonna have to invest into that book. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Austen has ever written, because this is the only Jane Austen book I've ever read, which I feel is blasphemous, and I need to read more of her stuff.